On this part of the Mustang
Cue
build...
intro!
Why would you cue the intro so early?
Cue intro!
Okay, anyways, on this part of the build we're gonna install track stuff. Okay. Fuck, I can't use this footage, you look like a handicap. Okay, to start this out, we have a clutch adjuster kit. Kent doesn't like how like the throw of the current cable is or whatever and where the grab position is, so he bought this gay thing.
For maximum motorsports.
Anyways, we gotta install this so he doesn't be a big baby. So he can man shift. Also, we have my drag wheels that we're gonna test fit on here. They're only 26 tall, but I think the gearing is gonna work out a lot better with the 26 tire. And a slick is better than a radial anyways. Alright, so essentially you have a new cable that you run down to the transmission. And this new little rocker style plate that you replace the original plastic one with. And I'm guessing that this angle that this rocks on is a bit different than the one that's already in there. And then you have this thing, which I guess goes through the firewall with some adjustment or something. I don't know, I didn't read the instructions yet. Inside the car, we're gonna remove this panel so you can kind of see what goes on in here, because the clutch is on this side, but it actually runs up and there's a rod that runs across, and then that's where the cable goes through on the over by the throttle linkage. So I'll get this off and we'll see what we can see under there. Okay, the camera's flipped upside down, but I'm gonna try and show you what I can see back there. So that was awkward. This is your clutch pedal. It goes up, and you see that bar right there. It goes across over to this side, and that's the plastic plate that we have to replace with the metal one. So I have to pull that off, and then the cable goes through the firewall there. There's not much room to film. I'm gonna pull it off and then we'll compare it to the other one. Unfortunately, my super offsets don't actually fit in this car because it's hitting this black shock here. I don't know if we tighten it up and lower it, if it actually moves outward at all.
We can try.
Yeah, we can try that. But they're actually different offset than Kent's wheels, so if we have to, we'll just swap the slicks onto his 15s. Right there. That's the other end of the clutch cable. You had to pull a little inspection cover off to get to it. And I believe that's the next thing to come off. I'm literally laying on my face, so I can't really film this while I pull it off. But I think we have to bolt in this thing.
Yeah, this I don't think comes with hardware either.
So this is the old one versus the new one. And my battery's about to die, so I'm gonna have to charge that. So this is what they're calling the quadrant. This is the new one, this is the old one. And if you put the new one over top of the old one, the ramp is actually different on the arc. So I'm guessing that this one's gonna ramp on faster and you'll have to push the clutch shorter in order to throw it. Whereas this one's like a big linear ramp. This one has like a quick... I'm just thinking here. I don't know for sure, but that's my guess.
Fucking blah 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 blah.
Okay, so here's what's done now. I have to flip the video upside down here, I think. Okay, that's what we installed up there. On that side, you can see it moving there. What I find funny is they don't use a spring to pull this pedal back now. I think what's going to happen is they're going to rest the throwout bearing right on the pressure plate, and that's how you're going to get your tension on this pedal. I don't like that. Insert slot A into slot B. Oh, 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 airplane noises. Fuck yeah, gotta do work. So after all that now, we're gonna have to go test it. And after we find out the engagement point, we're gonna have to build like a clutch stop. So the throw isn't so far to make it easier to shift. Yeah, well, this is gonna be a collaboration of It's gonna be a collaboration of today and probably our first day off, and then the track is our second day off. So I'm just collecting footage, Another request before Kent actually goes to the track is I have to install the watt box, which is essentially like a two-step box and a no-lift shift box all in one. You just
Help with my shitty driving.
Yeah. Well, it'll make consistency, and you can do watt shifting, which is also a plus. The shitty thing about the watt box is you actually have to tap into wires physically, like you have to splice into them, and then just they recommend black tape to tape it up. Actually, we have to see if it'll cold start first. We were having an issue with cold starting. We didn't put the shaker back on. It looks stupid. See if it cold starts now. E85 in Canada. It's not even cold out today.
And I put the heater on in the garage.
Yeah, I can tell. It sounds like a street car.
Try full throttle, I guess. Blew a MAF pipe.
You blew a boost pipe off?
Guaranteed. Just died.
Blew it right off the throttle body.
Oh, that's gonna be an issue. Got a dime?
Here, hold this. If we can just get it back on and limp it back home now, again.
This has happened before.
It doesn't even seem tight. This is the one I like stripped out earlier too. All right, a little bit of a backstory here. We just got off night shifts. It's like 1 o'clock. We've been up for 21 hours. But we're going to the track tomorrow, so we had to go pick up the trailer. We got that on the back of the truck right now. And we got the slicks from my car onto his wheels, so that's in the back of the truck too. We also have to install the watt box. We have to build a clutch stop, and we got this cool Hirsch shifter that we have to install because he needs something dick-like to grab onto apparently. So we got that. We're gonna go ahead and install that real quick, like lightning fast. That'll probably take 2 hours. We'll get it on the trailer, we'll rest up tonight, and then we'll leave early tomorrow for the rental. So we have to get this watt box in, tested, and yeah. So let's start that now. For those of you who don't know what a watt box is, it's basically by N2MB, and it'll allow you to set like a launch rev limiter. So you can leave the line at like 4,000 RPM, and you can adjust it in increments of 100, I believe. And it'll also allow you no lift shifting. So you can shift while holding the throttle wide open to the floor. And what it does is it just cuts ignition for you, and then it'll like hold RPM. So if you have ever tried to power shift before, you've noticed that if you keep your foot to the floor and go to shift, that the RPMs want to spike up and rev out. But with this box, it'll hold the RPM that you push the clutch in with, so that you have time to shift it into the next gear. It's easier on all your drivetrain and everything. And I think it's about 200 bucks. So it's a really good buy. It'll also make you a lot more consistent at the track, especially if you're driving a stick car. So I'll have to look up the instructions online. It didn't come with any specific instructions, but you basically have to splice into a couple wires, and then you cut an ignition wire and you run the ignition through the box so it can cut it for you. All right, so Kent's gonna install the rear wheels on this thing.
Slicks!
Slicks, yeah, they're mine. They're actually really tiny. But I think it's gonna work out a lot better for you in the end. I'm gonna install the watt box. We're putting it in the glove box, just throwing it in there kind of deal. You kind of have to have accessibility to it to change it. So we're just gonna throw it in here. And I've already had experience with these things before, and there's some stupid ass blue LED that comes on every time that you use it. And it like blinks. Really annoying. I'd rather just tuck it out of the way. So we're gonna put it in here. We have to take off this panel. There's a couple wires in the panel that you need access to, and we'll go from there. Yeah, so essentially you have to pull this these connectors off, and then this is your PCM up here, and then we're going to use the PCM harness, and we got to get this black cover off, and then we got to tap in the wires underneath this black cover. Essentially you have to run the blue and yellow ones to this box. Blue one gets connected to this gray-white wire at pin 89. So what you're going to do is you're going to strip off some of the shielding And then you're gonna splice this wire into it and then just solder the joint a bit. And then you just have to tape it up essentially. And then you do the same for this one. It gets spliced into another pin on the other side of the harness. And then this can get bolted back up and tucked away. So I'll do that real quick. I'll video to show you what I did and then I'll tape it up. All right, you can see how I just have the blue spliced in there and then the yellow spliced in over here. I'm just gonna put a little bit of solder on them and then tape them up and then tuck everything up out of the way, zip tie the wires going up to the box here. I just have it tucked out of the glove box just so I have enough length inside. Oh yeah, use 60/40. It's like the only thing you can use for automotive stuff. Everything else sucks ass. Here's wasting your time. Just cover it a little bit. Make sure it doesn't fall apart. I don't claim to be an expert on wiring.
Yeah, Kyle, you're talking to a camera.
I have no friends. Will you be my friend, Kent? It's back on the ground. On slicks. Kent's installing the cool shaker thing. We got the wires fed through the firewall. I did do the ground and the clutch switch. Really uneventful. But now there's an ignition wire underneath this. So you have to cut the ignition and then you actually have to physically cut the wire. One then goes to orange and one then goes to red, so it runs the ignition through the watt box so it can cut ignition. So that's what I'm gonna do now. And you'll end up with something like this. Orange wire is going towards the coils and then the red wire is going towards this plug. Now just to heat shrink them back up and put it back together, clean it all up and test it out. That shift knob installed though. Right there, and then jam nut it up. Yep. So you gotta get.
A crescent wrench.
It looks good though.
Yeah, it looks very America.
It's gonna be weird to use that on a
I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
manual car. Okay, we're in a bit of a time crunch here. We're gonna load the car on the trailer and I'll upload this tonight and we'll be racing by the time it's uploaded tomorrow. So stay tuned.